As many of you know, managing a contracting business can be extremely complicated, but having an integrated software solution can really help ease the process of managing your projects and your company financials. Hello, everyone. My name is Taryn, and I'm going to be showing you how you can do job costing, change order management, AIA invoicing, and more using the integrated solutions of QuickBooks Online and Knowify. We'll start today's webinar with a brief look at QuickBooks and how it can report and give you analytics on your company financial data. Then we'll cover Knowify. The Knowify demonstration will cover how it can be used to manage your projects and get a real-time cost versus revenue analysis on where you stand in real time. We'll also show you how Knowify can be used to manage contracts and their corresponding progress invoices, including the AIA style invoice document, and how you can manage purchase orders, vendor bills, employee time, schedules, and more, all using one software that will be integrated and synced to your QuickBooks account. Then, after the demonstration of how Knowify is used is completed, we'll be showing you the types of reports that you can get on this data through both your QuickBooks and Knowify accounts. Once I've concluded with the demonstration of both softwares, I'll answer some frequently asked questions that we get about Knowify and QuickBooks Online. Using QuickBooks Online, a cloud-based accounting tool, can help you get detailed reports and analytics on all of your company's financial data. You can use it to organize all of your invoices to customers and bills from vendors to see aging reports and summaries on where you stand as a company. And QuickBooks is fully integrated with Knowify, a project management software built for contractors that specializes in job costing and progress invoicing. Using your Knowify account data, Knowify can provide you with detailed reports on cost versus budget and cost versus revenue on your projects to provide you with profitability analysis in real time. And as you enter in your different financial pieces of the project, things like purchase orders, bills from vendors, and any invoices that you send to your clients, they'll automatically log into your QuickBooks account to prevent you from ever having to enter any of these transactions twice. The process starts in Knowify when you add a new job. Knowify will prompt you for a job name and can auto-number the projects for you. And it'll also ask who the client is. Both Knowify and QuickBooks will store a database of your active clients that you're frequently using, and they'll integrate with each other in both directions. So if there's a client that you are adding to your Knowify account, it'll go to QuickBooks, and also vice versa. Knowify also provides a variety of different types of contract, starting with fixed price, where you can progress invoice your client and manage change orders, and also having fixed price with AIA billing, where you'll be able to do progress invoicing in the G702 and G703 invoice format. Knowify also offers features for cost plus or time and materials billing, where all of your costs and employee hours will automatically be pulled from your cost into your invoice at a marked up rate. When we select our billing type, we'll be prompted for a variety of different job costing styles that give us a different level of detail of how much information we get when we're tracking our cost versus budget reports. For this example, we'll use advanced and we'll set a job site address. Knowify also has a smartphone application that can be given to your field workers so they can clock in and clock out at the end of the day, and will use their location from their smartphone compared to the address and let you know if they're checking in on the job site at the beginning and end of every workday. Once I save a job, I'll start creating a bid, which I'll be emailing to my client. When creating a bid, I'll be prompted for the name of my client, and if necessary, a request for proposal number, and I can start building out the list of line items which I'll be bidding to my client. I can click Add New Line Item, enter in a description, and then a price that I'm going to be charging the client for this service. If I need, I can also include additional information about this. Aside from just a written description, you can also break down a list of different material and labor costs that will go into this line item. So if I just want to say materials, it'll cost me $2,000. And if I need, I can include a markup as well. Labor, I'll say this will also cost $2,000 with a similar markup. It'll automatically let me know what the price should be with these different pricing and markup options. And I can set the total of the line item. We can also build more detail into our line items by using a list of materials and a list of labor that will go into creating this project. I'll create my next line item here. And before I write in a price, I'll click this bill of materials option and type in concrete. And I'll see a list of different materials that I frequently purchase for concrete-based work. When I select the item, it'll automatically pull in a cost to me and a markup that I usually charge my client for these items. Then I need to put in the quantity, and it automatically starts quoting a price using the information that Knowify has. We'll add another item here. And we'll also add some labor to this plan. When you build out this list of materials, it can be used either internally for your own reference, or you could set it up as a way for the client to see a more detailed breakdown of your quoted prices. I set my line item total, and I can adjust as needed. And I'll choose not to show this to the client because I'm just going to use it internally for a budget later on. Now, Knowify is going to automatically generate a PDF bid document, which can be emailed to my client right through the system, and they'll have the option to sign it using Knowify's digital e-signature. Knowify also offers the service of customizing the layout of your proposals. So if you have any changes that you'd like made to the format, Knowify can send out the proposal in your format instead of ours. This can give your customer a more professional and custom feel to anything that comes from your company. Once the proposal is sent through Knowify, the job will be marked as out for signature. You'll also be able to see an update whenever the client opens the email and views your proposal. I'll see here that the proposal was emailed today on the 6th, and it'll expire in a month if the client does not respond to me. I can then make this active. And now that the job is live, I'll be able to start tracking all of my costs. In my project plan, Knowify will prompt me to use the contract information that we have as budgets for our project. When I click this button, it'll automatically generate a material and labor budget for each phase of the job, which is representing each line item of our contract. You can see that I have a detailed budget that's broken down into different materials that need to be ordered and different hours of different types of employee that I included when creating my line items. Now I have a target dollar figure that I'm trying to reach whenever I'm adding cost to my job, and know if I can define our progress to show us how far along we are on the job as far as money spent versus money estimated. To start tracking these costs, I can do simple entry, such as allocating from catalog, which is a way for us to enter in material cost without us having to have an accounting transaction behind it. I simply can write in materials, write in how much I've spent so far, and it'll automatically update my material cost to date. But I also have the option of generating purchase orders through Knowify using the information that I set up in my contract. I can click Purchase, select which items I'm purchasing, and if necessary, adjust my quantities. And when I start my PO process, Knowify will prompt me for a vendor. The vendor database will also be integrated with our QuickBooks solution in both directions. So any new vendors I add in Knowify will automatically appear in my QuickBooks account and vice versa. And it'll generate a purchase order using the information from my contract that was pulled into the budget. Aside from just generating the purchase order document, which is going to be in a PDF and emailed to my vendor, it'll adjust the cost of the job to show me how much I've spent as far as committed costs go on this project. And finally, when I receive a bill from Home Depot for this purchase order, I can log that directly into Knowify as well. I click Create Bill for this PO, and Knowify will automatically fill in the PO number, the vendor name, and the list of outstanding items that are associated with this purchase order. When I submit and log this bill, it'll automatically close the purchase order that we generated, and it'll open the bill and also log a corresponding bill in my QuickBooks account. This way, QuickBooks is up to date on how much I owe Home Depot and the due date of each of the relevant bills. And cash flow can be managed in either software. So if I want to log a payment in Knowify, it'll sync to my QuickBooks account, but I also have the ability to view this bill in my QuickBooks account and manage payments there. QuickBooks does have a variety of other features that can ease the process of making sure bills get paid, whether it's integrating with your bank feed or using other softwares to manage compliance and writing checks. Once the bill is marked as paid in our QuickBooks account, the payment will sync back into our Knowify account and make sure that the bill is shown as paid in that software as well. This way, none of this information needs to be logged twice, and each software is aware of where we stand with our different clients and different vendors based off of what cash flow has been managed so far. Refreshing this bill, I'll see it's closed and fully paid, and that the payment has come from QuickBooks. Now, since we've logged material cost again to this project that we set up and we had a budget, I'll be able to see a new update on my current material cost to date versus the budget that we've laid out. I can see I've spent roughly $2,500 out of my $3,900 budget for materials. Next, we can get into our labor costing. As mentioned earlier, Knowify has the ability to allow your employees to punch in and punch out of the job site to give you their time cards each day. But you also have the ability to manually log any hours that you'd like that are relevant to the job. So if I key in my employee timesheets, it's going to use the rate assigned to each of these employees to update my current labor cost to date on this project. Knowify also has scheduling tools to make this process easier. I can use the corporate calendar to define the dates of the project. I'll click on a date, put in the name of the job that I'm going to be scheduling, and select which phase of the job I'm going to be scheduling at this point in time as well. Then define how long I'll be working on this phase of the job, Knowify will assign it a start and end date, and it'll be added to my calendar. I then have the ability to schedule crews on this job. When I come to my job board, I'll be able to see who's available on each day based off of color-coded scheduling notes. I can grab a crew, assign them to a job, and send them a push notification that's going to let them know what they're supposed to be working on, the address, and any of the client contact info that's relevant to getting the work done. This also makes it so if I need to enter a time for an employee, I'll be able to see who's scheduled first to speed up the process of time entry. I'll key in hours for my scheduled employees, and it's going to adjust the cost of the job. Before we get to the job costing though, I'll show you the review time module. This is where I can see all time that's been submitted by different employees in my account, make adjustments, approve, or if necessary, delete any time entries that were submitted by error. When approving time entries, they can sync to my QuickBooks account. QuickBooks has a variety of different payroll solutions that can integrate with the timesheets that sync from Knowify. So all of the time that's tracked in Knowify from the job site is going to simultaneously give you your job cost reporting and also give you the hours for your payroll solution so you can make sure that all of your employees get paid for the hours that they've logged on the job. And when I check on the status of this job again, my project plan is now going to show me an updated cost versus budget for the whole project, and then broken down into materials and labor. And then it'll also be broken down into each phase of the job. This way, I can see where I'm spending more or less money than I expected, and I can get a detailed breakdown of what makes up these costs. I can see here that my material cost is still under budget for concrete, as well as my labor cost, and I can see the different hours that were spent on this job so far compared to the number of hours that we said we were going to need on this project. This way, as material and labor rates change with time, you'll still see the total number of material units and labor hours that it takes to complete a project. I'll be able to reference these jobs at any point in time, even if they're closed in Knowify. So if I have a similar project to this in the future, I could see how much we ended up spending, what we ended up needing to use as far as materials go, and how many hours it took, so I can create a more detailed budget the next time I do a similar looking project. Now that we see that we've spent roughly half of our budget, we're going to create an invoice for this project to progress invoice our customer for the work done to date. I'll come back to the contract that I built when I was setting up my bid. It'll prompt me for some final information so I can create an AIA style pay application. That'll be our contract number and contract date, as well as our retainage percentages. And this is also where I'll be able to create change orders. So let's say there's been a change in the scope of work. I'll be able to go through my schedule values, add a change order, provide the customer with a description of what this change order is for, and a final price on it. The change orders are also available for a digital e-signature, just like our bid was. But in this case, I'll just make this active and we'll be able to invoice it when necessary. Now clicking the green Invoice Now button will prompt us for the date of the billing period. We'll say we're billing for everything through the 13th, and it'll pull up our list of line items so we can enter the percentage of completion of each of them. I could say that I'm 100% complete with my site work, and I currently am holding $2,000 of materials for our concrete phase. Now, when I finalize this invoice, it'll automatically show how much I'm requesting in payment. It'll show how much is being retained. I can email the document that we generate to our client, and it'll create a corresponding invoice in my QuickBooks account. So I don't need to enter this into my accounts receivable in QuickBooks separately. You'll see that Knowify can generate a standard AIA application for payment, including the G702 cover page and your G703 continuation sheet with your entire schedule of values. Again, this is also logged in my QuickBooks account. So if I want to view this in my QuickBooks account, I can open up the invoice and see the amount that the client owes me to date, and I can record payments when they're collected from the client. And since our payments, again, are bidirectional, any payments that I log in QuickBooks will automatically sync with Knowify and vice versa. So wherever we prefer to manage cash flow, they'll always sync up. And again, QuickBooks does have a lot of great features for managing payments via our bank feed. So if you have a direct deposit from your client, QuickBooks will recognize that and match up the payment that you received in your bank with the invoice that you logged in Knowify. Then every software will communicate back and forth, and you'll see which payments you're still waiting on and which ones have already been recorded. Back in Knowify, right now it's showing as outstanding. So I'll go ahead and click the sync now and update where we stand on this account. And when I look at this invoice again, it's going to automatically update and show me where I stand as far as its outstanding balance. And I'll see now this invoice is closed and fully paid. Now, if I go back to the contract job that I initially set up, I'll get an update on my current profitability of this project, and it'll break down my current contract value, an amount billed to date, and amount paid to date, and also a work in progress revenue that shows me earned revenue based off of my cost versus budget reporting. This is where I could see the amount that I've spent so far in materials versus what I had estimated and budgeted, as well as how much I've spent on labor versus its budget. And since I've spent a larger portion of my budget than I've invoiced out of my contract, I've earned more revenue than I've invoiced, showing a positive work in progress number to represent future revenue that I can expect to come in on this project. This is the basics of how Knowify works to provide me with job analytics. And then back in my QuickBooks account, I'll be able to see lists of all of my outstanding invoices, when I can expect payment on them. And we can get reporting on which types of services we receive the most income from. And I can check a list of all of my expenses, both from vendor bills and cash expenses made in the field. And I can see how much money I can expect to pay vendors in the coming months from unpaid bills that I have not recorded payment or written the checks on yet. QuickBooks also offers a variety of both standard and customizable reports, so I can get more information on how my company is performing on a whole, as opposed to just our job-by-job reporting. I can run a profit and loss report, and I'll take a look at just this month to date. And I can see how profitable I've been based off of the invoices logged in Knowify, as well as any bills that we've logged as well. QuickBooks also gives us the ability to toggle between seeing this on a cash basis versus an accrual basis. So if I have a lot of unpaid invoices, we'll still see the money that's owed, even if it hasn't been paid quite yet. From these reports, I also have the ability to click on individual line items and see what makes up each of these costs or expenses based off of a list of bills that go into the calculation of this number. Using this information, you can see what ends up costing your company the most money, what ends up making your company the most money, and adjusting your business practices to make sure that you're optimizing everything that you do on a day-to-day basis. Aside from just the custom reporting section of QuickBooks, you can also view a variety of dashboards that can give you a more easily viewable understanding of all of your current company's expenses and income, and they can be connected with your bank accounts so you can automatically reconcile what's been logged in Knowify and QuickBooks with all the different transactions that have been automatically loading into your bank and credit card feeds. Aside from the company reporting that's available in your QuickBooks account, Knowify can provide you a variety of reports that show you how you're performing on a job-by-job basis. For instance, the Advanced Jobs Report will give you cost versus budget analysis and billed versus contract value information to give you profitability across all of your jobs, and it can provide you with a real-time work in progress estimate as well. This way, you don't have to look at each individual job in your Knowify account, but can summarize something all at once and see where you stand with different clients and their projects. Knowify also has reporting on backlog information. This will show you which of your projects still have outstanding hours that were budgeted but not spent yet, as well as the ability to see which projects still need to be invoiced that have an outstanding balance that hasn't been paid by the customer. We'll be able to see our total billing progress and budget progress, and the total number of hours tracked versus the amount that we budgeted when setting up each project. And if you need reporting inside Knowify of your current outstanding bills and invoices, this is available in Knowify as well, where it'll summarize how much you have outstanding in vendor bills and how much is currently overdue and needs to be paid, and how many invoices are outstanding with your customers and how much income you can expect from the outstanding balances. Knowify also has a dashboard that can show you a variety of this information all on one screen. This includes information like how many active contracts you have and the outstanding unbilled value of them, how many outstanding bids and change orders haven't been approved by clients yet, and a summary of your current projects, what percentage of the budget you've spent, and how much of the contract you've invoiced to date, so you can see where you need to either invoice or make sure that you get more work done on each project. From a project management perspective, Knowify will also show you a map of different outstanding projects and how many phases need to be complete, including their locations. You also have the ability to see a team overview of how many hours each of your employees has logged each day, whether or not they're checked in, and what time they check out, so you can see a high-level overview of whether or not each employee is doing their job each day. From this screen, you also have the ability to send messages to these employees in case anything looks out of the ordinary or you need to make a change to the schedule. Using all the information that's available to you in your Knowify and QuickBooks accounts, you can optimize your business workflows and make sure that your business is working as efficiently as possible. Now, I'd like to get into some frequently asked questions about Knowify and QuickBooks. First, people often ask if the sync is automatic or if it needs to be manually triggered. Well, everything from Knowify to QuickBooks automatically happens when you submit each transaction. So if I'm in my Knowify account and I log a bill against this project for Home Depot, when I verify and submit, it automatically gives me the option to send to QuickBooks without any additional clicks. I'll click submit and I'll get confirmation from Knowify that this bill has successfully made it into my QuickBooks account. I can click this sync OK, click view in QuickBooks, and it'll automatically pull me into that transaction in my QuickBooks account. Similarly, I can log my bills in QuickBooks and they will sync back to Knowify. There are a couple automatic syncs that happen, but you can always speed up the process by clicking the Sync Now button in my Knowify account. So if I'm to log a bill in my QuickBooks account now, I have the ability to select what I'm purchasing, the amount, and under customer, I can actually select which project I want this to be allocated to in my Knowify account. This bidirectional sync allows us to work with other softwares that integrate with QuickBooks and automatically feed the bills into my QuickBooks account, but I'll still have the ability to automatically have them costed to jobs in Knowify. When I click Sync Now, I'll be able to see in my sync transaction log that a bill was generated from QuickBooks and pulled into Knowify. Another question that we often get is whether other QuickBooks integrated apps can work with Knowify. Things like Bill.com or QuickBooks Time add a lot of features to your QuickBooks account, and they can integrate with Knowify through QuickBooks as well. So if I log a payment in my Bill.com account, it'll pull through QuickBooks into Knowify. And QuickBooks Time can be directly integrated with Knowify. So if you want to use their platform for time tracking and syncing with payroll solutions, then those hours could be pulled from QuickBooks Time directly into Knowify, so you never need to manually enter from one software into the other. We also often get questions about subcontractor management and how that can be managed in Knowify if you're not necessarily doing the work, but you are hiring the subcontractor to take care of it. Knowify has a variety of features that help ease this process so you can see the outstanding balance that you owe all of your different subcontractors and whether or not they've been paid and how far along through the billing process you are. To manage a subcontract in Knowify, you can go to your Plan and Track section where we manage all of our job costs. Under Subcontractor on a phase, you would click Add Subcontractor. You can select who the subcontractor is that's working for you, enter the value of their contract, and it'll generate a work order, which can be emailed to this sub right through Knowify, similar to our PO process. And you can manage subcontractor bills and change orders all from this screen. So if I get a change order from my sub, plug in the value and what it's for. And now I'll be able to log bills and see how much is still outstanding in the balance of this contract and how much I've been billed to date. We'll key in a $1,000 bill so far and the total balance of the change order. Again, this bill will sync with our QuickBooks account, so Knowify is managing the outstanding balance of the contract with the sub, but QuickBooks shows us how much we owe the sub on a whole across all jobs. And now my plan and track section will show the total contract value, the amount billed to date, and the amount paid to date, which at this point, since I haven't logged any payments, is still 0. People also often ask us about managing their submittals through Knowify. Knowify does have a feature that allows you to send submittals, including any relevant images, and have your customer or whoever the approver is send a response directly through the system, similar to how our e-signature works. If we open up a job, we'll see a Submittals tab available. From here, I can see the current status of any submittals I've sent so far on this project. I can see one that's been approved and one we're still waiting for a response on. Clicking this, I'll be able to see any information about this submittal, including anything that I've submitted and images uploaded by anyone in my company or by the responder. To send a new submittal, we can click this button, put in a name or description of this submittal, we can enter the approver's email and set a deadline that we need a response on this by. We'll also enter a description here. And we can upload any documents or images that we need to go along with this as well. Once this is uploaded and I'm happy with everything that we have here, we can click send for approval and it'll go to the client or whoever we submit as the approver, and they'll have the ability to respond directly through Knowify. I sent this submittal to myself so we can see what the response looks like. It'll have information like your company name and the project name. And this link will give them the ability to respond to you directly through Knowify. The customer has the ability to request a revision before approving. That way, you can make updates and then send it back. Or when they approve, they can include comments and any images that need to go along with this approval. Once this is submitted, you'll get an emailed response letting you know that the customer has approved this submittal. It'll also link you directly to the part of Knowify that's going to let you view the response in that project plan. You'll also see that there's a history log that shows me all of the different transactions that have taken place that are relevant to this submittal that we've created. Many contractors often ask if Knowify can be used to track their progress through different phases of the project. Knowify does have a feature where you can define how you track progress on each phase of the project and update it as you go. When we edit our project plan, each phase allows us to define progress. For our excavation and site clearing, we'll mark this as a percentage of completion. And our concrete can be defined using custom units. So we want to track how many cubic yards have been poured, and we want to enter the total that will be poured. All I have to do is save this. We can track how many cubic yards have been poured as we move through the project. Once this is active, we'll see that in plan and track, excavation has the ability for me to enter our current percentage of completion with this part of the project. And our concrete phase allows us to enter how many cubic yards have been poured to date. This way, Knowify can track where we stand on projects beyond just the dollars versus budget that we laid out when creating this project. Many contractors often ask us how they can share more information about how their project is going with their customer through Knowify. Every job in Knowify can enable a customer portal, which allows you to share a variety of information with your customer so they can see where you stand in real time. This can include information about the contract, the progress through your different phases in plan and track, invoices that you sent the client, documents that you've uploaded, and any comments that you'd like to share as well. Then the link to the portal can be sent directly through Knowify or outside. It'll show a summary of the current status of the job and its location. The contract page will show the different approved line items and change orders as necessary, and how much has been invoiced out of each of them to date. The progress of each phase can be stated so the customer can see where you stand on each part of the project without having to contact separately. The Invoices tab will show the customer a summary of all invoices that have been sent to date and whether or not they've been paid. To share documents that were uploaded into Knowify with your customer, and they can view anything that you've entered into the system. And you can enter comments and logs into your job, which can be shared as well to keep an open line of communication with the customer. To add documents or logs from inside your project, you can upload the file into the Documents page and pick and choose which documents you do and don't want to share with the customer. Similarly, when you're in the jobs logs file, you could choose which items you do and don't want to share with the customer, so you're in control of what they can see that's uploaded into your Knowify account. If you'd like to add a log, you can click Add Logs. Save the comment, and then click where it says Hidden from Portal to make sure it's now shown in Portal, and it'll show up in the Logs page. Many contractors often also ask us about how to manage time and materials contracts. For situations where you're not quoting a fixed price and using progress invoicing, these cost plus contracts can automatically take in the time and any materials purchased against the job and generate invoices that include all of the information plus a markup. To build one of these contracts, you build out different deliverables for each different pricing that you're going to be offering the client. We'll set up a time and materials deliverable, enter a description of what we're going to be providing to the client, and we can create an hourly rate that's either universal across all different employees in the system, a different rate for each employee, or a different rate based off of what type of employee or role that you have in your account. Once this rate is set, we'll be able to have employees track time against this deliverable and invoice the client for the hours that they logged. You'll also have the ability to enter what percentage of markup you charge for everything that you purchase on the job site. Once this percentage is entered, any materials that are added to this deliverable through purchases or vendor bills or other means will automatically have a markup added and be added to the invoice. Once this contract is active, we'll be able to start adding our cost and see how it automatically shows up on the invoice so the items don't need to be tracked twice. Just like in any other job, I can go to my materials and add purchases. And as these purchases are entered, they're going to automatically update my cost. But since it's a time and materials contract, they'll also update my revenue. Also, as time is entered, we'll see the cost from the employees working on the project. But when the time is approved, it'll update our invoice to show us how much the customer owes us for the time as well. All time will need to be approved before moving over to the invoice to make sure that no client is invoiced for any time that wasn't actually spent in error. Then back in my project, I'll go to my contract, select Invoice Now, and Knowify will automatically pull the materials and time entered onto the invoice at the agreed upon rate with the customer. And just like with our other projects, we'll be able to now view the current profitability of the job based off of the costs that we've logged and the amount that we've invoiced our client to date. The last question I'll answer is whether or not Knowify could be used in the field on a phone or a tablet. Knowify is designed to work on a screen that's the size of your standard tablet, so if you're in the field and need access to all of Knowify's web features, then you can pull up your web browser on your tablet and get full functionality out of the software. You can also pull it up on the phone and get a smaller mobile view from your web browser, or as mentioned earlier, you do have the ability to use the smartphone application for simple input of time, purchases, images of the job site, comments, and other pieces of information that are useful for project management and communication with the field. Thank you for joining in to learn more about our integrated solution of QuickBooks Online and Knowify for contractors to help manage your business more efficiently, organized, and profitable than ever.